Bam, we're here. 5.4, graphing from standard form and finding equations from graphs. All right, so last time in 5.3, we talked about graphing from vertex form and from intercept form. Today we're going to be talking about standard form. We've talked about standard form lots of times. So standard form, well, I guess before we do that, what information do we need to graph? Again, we need to find the vertex and the A value so that we can find the growth pattern. Okay, so that's the idea for today, is to find the vertex. Standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And this one should be familiar, this form. Okay, so the easy to find key features from standard form is the axis of symmetry. Okay, just how we did with the intercept form, we wanted to find the axis of symmetry so that we could find our vertex. So to find the axis of symmetry, this one is always going to be x is equal to negative b all over 2a. X equals negative b all over 2a. Okay, so this is like part of the quadratic formula. Okay, usually if we continued with the plus or minus, we do plus or minus the square root of blah 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 over 2a. So this tells you the axis of symmetry, and then we add and subtract the same amount from both sides to find those solutions, those x-intercepts. Okay, but we're just going to try and find, we're going to use just the negative b over 2a to find the axis of symmetry. Because if we have the axis of symmetry, then we can find the vertex. Because we know that the vertex, the x value for the vertex is the axis of symmetry. And the y value, we can just plug x into equation. Okay? Just like we did with the axis of symmetry. Or no, sorry, the intercept form. Oh heavens. Okay, so that's the plan for today, is to find that vertex. We can also find the direction of opening. Again, it's the same reason why. So if it's up, if the A value is positive, makes you happy. If it's down, its direction of opening is down. If A is negative, so that makes you sad. Okay, and then the y-intercept, this one is really nice to find, is it's always going to be 0, c. Okay, from here. You can find the y-intercept from any form by just setting x equal to 0, because that's what this is x equals 0. And we would, for this one, we would just get c left over. But you could do that for any of them by setting x equal to 0 and solve. All right? Okay, so let's just do some problems. Let's try this problem together. We want to graph this from intercept, or from standard form. Okay? So first we're going to want to try and find the vertex, and then use the growth pattern. So to find the vertex, we first are going to want to find the axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry, again, for this x will always be negative b all over 2a. Okay, so here a is 1, b is negative 6, and c is 13. So we'll plug a and b in, would do negative b, and b is negative, so we'll end up getting a positive 6, and then all over 2a, and we would simplify that, we'd get 6 over 2, or 3. So our axis of symmetry is 3, and we could plot that right now. So x equals 3. Okay, that's our axis of symmetry. And if we want to find the vertex, again, the vertex is always going to be, the x value will be our axis of symmetry, And if we want to find the y value, we can plug that into our equation. So y is equal to 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 13. And that would end up giving us 4. Okay, you could just use your calculator, plug it in. So when you have our vertex here is 3 comma 4. So I'll plot that here. Here's our vertex. Or maybe I won't write that. So we have room. Okay, and now we'll just use our growth pattern. So since a is 1, we already actually wrote that down here. We'd use 1a, 3a, 5a. So over 1, up 1, over 1, up 3 on both sides. And we're done. Okay. Let's do b together as well. So again, we want to find our axis of symmetry. X equals negative b all over 2a. So here a is a negative 1, b is a negative 2, c is 2. All right? So we would plug that in, would do minus a negative 2 all over 2 times a, and a is a negative 1. So we could simplify as this will give us, on the top we'll end up getting a positive 2 divided by a negative 2, which will give us a negative 1. So our axis of symmetry is negative 1, so maybe we'll plot that. Okay, and if we want to find the y value for our vertex, we just plug it in. So y is equal to, change that, we'll do minus, or a negative, okay, and we'll do negative 1 squared minus 2 times a negative 1 plus 2. And again, I would probably just use your calculator, and you would end up getting it's equal to 3. So our vertex will give us negative 1 comma 3. Now we just need to use our growth pattern. So a is negative 1. We'll do 1a, 3a, 5a. So that would give us a negative 1, a negative 3, and a negative 5. So we'll go over 1, down 1, over 1, down 3, over 1, down 5. And we'll do it on the same, on the opposite side. All right. So if you would give C and D a try, and pause. Okay. So here we want to find our axis of symmetry. X is equal to negative b. B is 2. A is a negative 1. So x equals negative b all over 2a. So that will end up giving us 1. And then to find the y value, we just plug that in. So we'll do negative, and we'll do 1 squared plus 2 times 1, which gives us 1. All right, so we have our vertex is 1, 1. And then we'll use our growth pattern. So a is negative 1, so we'll do 1a, 3a, 5a, negative 1, negative 3, negative 5. So we'd plot those points. And connect the dots. Okay, and this one as well. So if something's missing, like if a term is missing, that means the coefficient would be 0, just like when we talked about the quadratic formula. So here a is negative 2, b has got to be 0. So our axis of symmetry is x equals negative b, so that's negative 0, all over 2 times a, Well, that would just give us 0. So our x value is 0. Our y value for our vertex, we would plug that in and would do negative 2 times 0 squared. Well, that's also 0. So our vertex is 0, 0. And then to find more points, we'd use the growth pattern. So a is negative 2, would do 1a, 3a, 5a. That's negative 2 and negative 6 and negative 10. So we would go over 1, down 2, over 1, down 6. Again, we just need 5 points, so that's good enough. And we're done. Okay, so that is, we'll probably just save that, I don't know, number E, letter E. You're welcome to give that a try. Review yourself on how to find the key features. All right. We'll probably do that in class, but just for the sake of time for our video. All right. Now we're going to be talking about writing equations in from graphs. So if I give you a graph, you're going to need to know how to write that in the different forms. Okay. Writing the equation in vertex form and intercept form are fairly straightforward because we can find that information really easy. Okay, so like if we're trying to find vertex form, again, that's y is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. And if we want, all we need to do is find our h and k, our vertex. So we need to find our a value so that we can plug it in there, and we also need to find the vertex, which is our h and k. And then we can just plug those in. All right, so looking at this example, our vertex right here, our vertex is 2, negative 2. And the a value, if we go over 1, and we'll just go over 1 and go up until it hits. Okay, this would be because we go over 1, up 1a. So here a must be 2. So a is 2. And we'll just plug that into our equation. So y is equal to 2 times x minus h. So again, h is 2. So again, it will switch its sign when we plug it in. Just how when we took it out, we changed its sign. Okay, and then we'll plus k. Well, k is a negative 2, so we can just do minus 2. All right. So again, if we want to graph from vertex form, we just need to find the vertex, h and k, and the a value. Then we just plug it in. You'll need to memorize the forms. So make sure you'll probably get that just by practicing. Okay, intercept form. So intercept form is y is equal to a times x minus p and x minus q. So what do we need? Well, we need to find the a value. Again, we'll just do it the same way we did before. And then we also need to find the x-intercepts. Okay, our p, 0 and our q, 0 would be our x-intercepts. So looking at this, again, we have a is equal to 2. And then we want to find the x-intercepts. Okay, looking at this, our x-intercepts here would be 1, 0 and 3, 0. So 1, 0 and 3, 0. And then we'll plug everything into our form. So y is equal to 2, and then we'll do our parentheses, x minus p, which is a minus 1. So again, you can kind of just think about is when you put it in, it's going to change its sign, and then x minus 3. Okay, so these two forms, these are the same. They're just in different forms. All right, last but not least is standard form. So the easiest way perhaps to find standard form is by distributing, okay? So we will just distribute. You can distribute from vertex form, or we can distribute from intercept form. So I'll just do it from intercept form. If we have y equals 2 times x minus 1 times x minus 3, okay, if we were to distribute, we could distribute the 2x minus 2, and then we can distribute the two parentheses, or multiply those two parentheses to each other. So that would give us 2x squared minus 6x minus 2x plus 6. And then we'll just combine like terms and would get y is equal to 2x squared minus 8x plus 6. So this would be standard form. That's how you will go to standard form. It's probably the easiest. You can always check and say, well, our a should still be 2 when we're done, and our c should always be our y-intercept. So there we do. Okay. There are different ways to be able to come up with the or the standard form, but I feel like that's probably the easiest way to do it. And then we could do it from vertex form as well. And maybe we'll do an example of that. Okay, so we just have 2 examples of this. Maybe one of these you could pause and try, and then key features, and you'll be set to go. All right, so here, let's give this one a try. Vertex form. Again, we need to find the vertex. Maybe I'll do a different color. So the vertex here would be 4, negative 4, and the a value here would go over 1, up 1. So that means that a must be 1. And we'd write our vertex form. So y equals a, we could write 1, or when we multiply, you don't really need to have the 1 anymore. So you could just do x minus h, so x minus 4 squared plus k, so that would be minus 4. Intercept form, we'd want to write down our intercepts. So x-intercepts are 2, 0 and 6, 0. And a again is 1, so we'd do y equals 1 times x minus 2 and x minus 6. So again, just how when we took those out, we changed the sign. It's the same as when we put them back in. And then standard form would want to distribute from one of the forms. So we'll try this time with vertex. So we'll start at y equals, again, if something is being squared, we need to write it twice. So x minus 4 times x minus 4 minus 4. And then we would distribute. Okay, we can't combine this with anything yet until we distribute. We'd get x squared minus 4x minus 4x and plus 16 minus 4. And then we would combine like terms. So these are like terms, these are like terms. Y is equal to x squared minus 8x plus 12. All right, so give the next one a try, see what you can come up with. Hint, intercept form will not work because we don't have any intercepts, okay? So just come up with the vertex form and then switch it into standard form. So vertex here would be 1, negative 2. A here, we'd go over 1, down 1, so A would be a negative 1. So y is equal to a, which is negative 1, x minus h squared plus k. And then your standard form you'd need to distribute, so we'd do y is equal to negative, would write our 2 parentheses. Okay, would maybe distribute, would get negative x plus 1. And again, we only distribute what's next to it, so don't try and distribute to the next parenthesis as well. And then we'll distribute again, so negative x squared plus 1x plus 1x and minus 1. Then we have a minus 2 from here. And we'd get negative x squared, combined like terms, gives us plus 2x minus 3. All right, and then maybe we'll talk about the key features fairly quickly. So from, I think this is supposed to be B. Sorry, this is kind of confusing. I need to fix that too. This was supposed to be A. So x-intercepts, there'd be none. Y-intercept would be 0, comma, negative 3. Axis of symmetry would be x equals 1. Vertex would be 1, comma, negative 2. It is a maximum, a value of negative 2. Domain would be all real numbers. And again, you can write it the other two ways as well, like this. Or, okay. Range, again, it's all y values, so you'd start at negative infinity all the way until it stops. So you'd go from negative infinity to negative 2, and we'd include that value. Or we could say all y values less than or equal to negative 2. Increasing, again, where the slope is positive. So it'd be everything left of the axis of symmetry. So from negative infinity to 1. And decreasing would go from 1 to infinity. Again, we could say all x values less than 1 and x greater than 1. Direction of opening here would be down. Okay. All right, well, if you have any questions, let me know. I know there wasn't a whole lot of examples, but hopefully that would be good enough for you. All right, thanks.